All right. I am going to bring myself up on the camera. Here we go. Hello and welcome to another episode of Modern Mom Probs Live. I'm your host, Tara Clark. We had a bit of a delay, but we are here with you now. And today we're going to be talking about systems for busy moms to try to get back some of the time that we spend throughout the course of our very busy weeks. I'm going to bring on Laura Hernandez. She is the master. She is a mother of 10, and she knows exactly how to help us organize our busy schedules. Laura, I'm going to pull her up right now. Let's see. I'm going to invite you to video, and it should bring you up. Let's see. Yeah! Hey, Laura, how are you?
My gosh, I'm so sorry. Whenever
No
you
worries.
use an iPad or on your Mac, and I was like, oh, like Coke. You just mean computer or phone.
No.
Clearly not. You really needed an iPad.
No, I really meant an iPhone. Yeah. Well, you know what's actually funny? True story. I use an Android. So I shoot this show on an iPad because I don't have an iPhone. So there you
I
go.
don't either. I was like, oh, I need something. Apple, right now.
I love it. But I'm so glad that you're here. I want you to tell us who you are, where you're from, and how did you put all of these awesome systems in place?
Yeah, so my name is Laura, and I'm from the Dallas area. My husband and I live here with our 10 kiddos, and they're pretty amazing. We went in 1 year, kind of a 6-month period, we went from 4 kids to 8 kids. Along with a cross country move, we ended up adopting a sibling group of 3 out of foster care right after we had our 5th biological. And it was crazy. To have no other words, it was just crazy. We were definitely in survival mode, and at some point I was like, we've really got to figure out something, right? I can't be living like this all the time. And so I kind of threw everything out, kind of like you would a puzzle at the very beginning of the puzzle, and just kind of started assessing, hey, what do we have going on? What do we need going on? Kind of all those little pieces, and then created systems from there because I searched for stuff and nobody had anything that fit our family. We were too unique for anything. And what I've discovered is that every family is so unique. There's no such thing as a one size fits all system. And so now I get to coach moms and help them put systems in place in their homes so that they can live more peaceful lives. So
That's awesome. And what age ranges do you have? Because obviously, with 10 kids, there's probably a pretty big age range.
yeah, so our youngest is 3 and our oldest just turned 17 last week.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations. Happy birthday. My birthday was last week too, so very cool.
What day?
March 23rd.
Oh, very fun. This is our birthday season, so we have 6 birthdays in 1 month.
I understand. This is my husband's birthday's in March too, so I get it. So we have a lot of March birthdays. So how do you, okay, let's start with this. What's your favorite system that you've created that you think is probably like the end all be all, like every family could benefit from this system?
Yeah, there's so many. But I think I'm going to go with our afternoon jobs. And what I love about our afternoon jobs is that it creates a teamwork mentality and it also creates a great morning. So what this looks like is at 5 o'clock, our alarms go off in our house on my phone and on the devices that are in here that I don't want to say the name of. But she goes off and just says 5 o'clock jobs, and everybody hops to and does what they're supposed to do. And so each kid is responsible for getting their stuff ready for the next day. So laying out clothes, making their lunches, all of those things. They're in charge of doing one thing to help with dinner. So each thing is delegated out and expectations are set so everyone knows. We're not switching up jobs because that's too much for me to keep track of. We're not doing that. And then finally, they each have a zone that they're in charge of. And this is so great. So then when I wake up in the morning, if everybody's done what they're supposed to do, we've sat down at the dinner table and we're like rocking and rolling, right? This also cues me, that 5 o'clock alarm cues me to go in and start making dinner because it started on dinner at an appropriate time. And then we're like, oh gosh, I forgot to feed everybody. It's 7:30 and it's almost bedtime. And they don't go days without eating, but it just...
No, I know what you mean. You need a prompt to remember, especially when you're in the middle of doing something and you're like, oh, wait, dinner. And it happens every night.
Yes. Yeah. So all of that sets us up for a great morning because everybody has all of their stuff done. I wake up to a calm house that's already picked up. We're already ready to go. And it kind of creates those bookends on the day to like peacefully wake up to your morning and peacefully go to bed. So I think that's my number one system.
I love that. So I just want to recap that. So it's setting an alarm on a device that you may have, that whose name we're not going to say right now because she'll start talking. So set an alarm for 5 o'clock chores. So then each child knows to pack up his backpack, his lunch for tomorrow, like for the next day. And what else? Does he lay out clothes for the next morning?
Yes. And because we have some special needs little buddies too. So just the mornings are really hard for us. And so whatever we can accumulate in one spot is really how we're going to succeed. So laying out clothes, putting shoes by the door, glasses, making our lunch beforehand, everything that we can possibly prep the night before, we're going to do that. Just to take it off in the morning, because in the morning it's, wheels off.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that idea. I think we're going to start to implement that too. The 5 o'clock chores. That's it. That's a good one. Okay. So what about on the weekends? Do you have special, like different systems for the weekends?
No, we just kind of tweak them a little bit. So our 5 o'clock jobs, they clean up their zone and they help get ready for dinner. But they just don't lay out their clothes for school the next day or make their lunches.
So when you say zones too, like, do you mean like the playroom, their own bedroom? Like, help me understand the zone situation.
Yeah, so it's different. So as you're going to bed tonight, what I want you to do is kind of look around the house and say, like, what is stressful to you about the house right now? Mm-hmm. And so this means you're probably not going into your child's closet and looking through their stuff to see that they need to organize it, right? You're going to be like in the main living spaces and you're looking and you're like, oh, there's Legos on the floor. Okay, oh, there's pillows all over the floor too. This is always a problem. I hate going in there and picking them up. So just kind of noticing the things that drive you crazy about your house going to bed or waking up in the morning that you end up taking care of. Let's delegate those out to kids. So the zone can be a thing, just like, hey, you're in charge of all the Legos in the house or all the socks in the house that are everywhere all the time. Yeah. Or it can be a room or like the dining table. So it just kind of, what is your space? What feels stressful to you in your space? Let's get that taken care of.
I love that. I love that. That's a great one. So then as a mom of 10, I feel like you probably feel like you should be like cloned because you need to be in a lot of different places all at once. And my guess is that you can't be in a lot of different places
at the front door
all at once. And so my question to you is like, how do you manage multiple activities at the same time? Do you have a system for that?
We do. We delegate a lot. I'm a big delegator, and I'm the first one to tell you that I don't have it all together. I can't do everything all at once. Like I'm not magical, right? I can't clone myself. And so we have hired help to help us take kids to appointments. And a lot of our kids have therapy appointments like 2 times a week. And one of the biggest things that I struggled with so much was delegating that out to somebody of, hey, it's their therapy appointments. I should be there. But really, I'm just sitting in the waiting room. I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting there. And so instead of me going and sitting there waiting for them to come out of their appointments for the therapist to give me like a 2-minute spiel, I can get this from them. I can have meetings with them apart from that, right? And I can be home making dinner, taking care of the house, kind of running the ship here. And that is so much better for everyone involved. Because if I'm there, things here are not being taken care of at all. So, yeah.
So delegation is a really, really big part of it too, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, without a doubt. So then how do you handle some of like the other mental load of motherhood stuff? Does that make sense? Like birthday presents, going to birthday parties, like all of those things that creep up that other people, may take for granted, other people being maybe other parents, dads, that do tend to fall onto our plate. So like, how do you work through, or do you have a system for the mental load?
I do. So my definition of a system is anything that takes the mental load off of you. So it's pre-made decisions so that you're not having to kind of like, oh gosh, they have a birthday party today and we've got to get there and I don't have anything for them, right? So I stock up on presents. When I see something on sale, I'll buy a whole bunch of them and be like, these are great boy presents. We're getting 10 of them. And I have a gift closet, keep them up there. So that way we can just quickly wrap one when it's time. And that's kind of taken care of, right? I'm not stressed about getting to the store and all those things. So pretty much everything I do, I try to think of how can we make this easier next time? anything that feels stressful, anything that brings that like rise in me, like, oh gosh, and I start like snipping at my kids, that's kind of my indicator, which I think it is a lot of moms' indicators, but maybe it's not. Maybe you need to search for your own indicator that you're feeling stressed out and overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But once that happens, I'm like, oh, I need to think of something better to do for this. So just for an example, last week we went to the book fair, and I think that our PTAs kind of figured out that nobody's going to the meetings. And so what they did was I feel a little bitter towards the school about this. They created a program for the kids that the kids were going to be involved in. The PTA meeting was right before that, and the book fair was right after that. So we'd all be stuck there, right? Because we have to go watch our kid perform. They also had food trucks and all these things. So I went, and it had already been a long day, and I get there, and the kids want to get stuff off the food truck. They want to buy these $5 popsicles, and like I'm watching this show and then going into the book fair, and everyone from the whole school is in there. It was so stressful, Tara. So I'm like, oh my gosh, no, never again. So next time we're eating before, having ice cream at home when we get home, and I will buy you a book off of Amazon. We're not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
So I think just having those, like knowing what you can handle, like maybe that's some mom's jam. They love going to the book fair. They love all the people, all the things, but oh my goodness, not me.
No, it's a lot. And the books are like 4 times more expensive than they normally would be everywhere else. My son actually recently had a book fair. It was last week, I think it was. And I gave him money, and he came home with like only a handful of things. And I was like, oh, well, where'd the rest of your books go? And he's like, no, that's all I could buy with it. And I was like, really? Like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Because I feel like you only got a couple things.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. And maybe I should be, but I'm just not. So
I completely understand. I can't even imagine having like the food trucks with the ice cream and that. It's like your money would just be like flying away that afternoon.
Yes, and you know that they didn't like the $5 popsicles or the fancy food that we got at so I ended up
They
eating
just
all of
wanted
it.
it because it was there, and they were like,
Yes.
wait a second, now's my chance to like ask mommy for something, because that's like what everyone's doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's true. But I love your idea, one, about heading into situations like that to have a plan, but 2, with the birthday parties, because just last week I found myself, I had ordered something for my son's friend for her birthday, and it was running late on Amazon, and I was so frustrated because it was like this really cute slime kit and an apron to go with it, and so it didn't come, and I was like, now I'm scrambling that I have to go to the store to buy something as instead of the gift that I was intending to give her. And so we literally bought something on the way to the birthday party, and it was so stressful because we had to stop and make sure we weren't late in order to get to the party on time then. And I just like didn't like that feeling. When you said about you feel it rising, I felt it rising, and it just like wasn't a good feeling. But I have to say, luckily, he's going to another birthday party tomorrow afternoon with another friend in his class who also loves slime. And so I'm able to then repurpose that gift for this other girl. And so all's well that ends well, I suppose, for that situation. But I just don't like the feeling of having to be running last minute and then probably spending more money than you even thought you were going to spend, because now here you are last minute trying to grab something.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. So next time there's like a Prime Day or something, by all means, stock up on something that's like a good, just all around gift. I like slime. I don't like slime. I don't want slime, but
I don't either,
mind giving it to
but
other
that's
people.
what the little girl was asking for, and so I bought that. So I hope that it's okay that I'm giving it to the other friend, because I hope her parents are okay with it. I guess we'll find out.
They're fine.
I normally don't do that because the girl had it on her Amazon registry for her birthday, and so that's why I had bought it for girl number 1, but I'm giving it to girl number 2, so hopefully it's okay.
That is fancy. I didn't know children were doing that these days.
They're creating Amazon registry so that people don't give them duplicate gifts.
Oh.
Yeah.
I have so many thoughts. That's so interesting. Okay.
It is interesting. But yeah, I don't know. What I ended up having to do for girl number 1, was that I bought her a Target gift card, because I had to go to the supermarket to buy a gift card, and that was the gift cards that they had.
Perfect.
Yeah. I know, but if I had a system in place and I had a closet full of toys, then I would have been able to open that up, retrieve said toy to give to her, and I wouldn't be like running to the supermarket to buy a gift card before going to the birthday party.
Next time.
Next time. It's tricky. It's tricky. So, what are some of your other favorite systems? This is so interesting. I should be taking notes, but that's okay. I'll rewatch this later.
We have a system in our house called the ticket system, and that has been an amazing gift to all of us. I was just reading, and a lot of our kids have ADD. 7 out of 10 of them have ADD, and I just learned that I have ADD, which is really fun. And I know my husband does too. But I was reading this article about ADD and how to incentivize kids and how to really help them with boundaries and all these things, right? And one of the things we're talking about was an incentive thing. And so we're like, oh my goodness, we're already doing this. So here's how it works. It originally started out as hey, you read and you get tickets, and then you get to earn screen time, right? That was kind of our go-to. But we kind of learned that has some magic behind it, that kids are willing to do hard things because they want tickets. And so they're willing to work for things. And what a great way to teach them hard work, responsibility, teamwork, less entitlement, all the things, by allowing them to work and earn tickets. And then they can redeem them for screen time or a bowl of ice cream or a Sonic drink, different things that we have already pre ticket priced, if you will.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah. And so they are coming and asking me for jobs all the time. They're like, how can I help? I want ticket jobs. I want to play on the computer. Can I have 15 ticket jobs? They're asking for help, to help me around the house. And that feels magical. Having kids come and beg you for jobs is something that doesn't happen in most houses. And so it's really created this beauty of the kids coming and asking. And so I'll find them asking for how they can help even when they're not getting tickets for it, right? They'll come say, how can I help, Mom? And that's my favorite question in the whole world. So
it's awesome. I love that. Do the tickets correspond to minutes of screen time or scoops of ice cream? How does that work?
They do. So yeah. So we do screen time in general. It's Xbox, computer. If they want to watch a movie all by themselves or something like that. An hour of time is 10 tickets. And so 5 tickets is 30 minutes. And then there's a screen limit of 2 hours. So they can't just save up all their tickets and play Xbox for 10 hours a day. We cap it at 2. So yeah. And I've just been so amazed by it. And it's been such a blessing to so many other families. And I have a course on it and everything, just how to set it up successfully. And it's really fun to hear other moms call me and be like, you would not believe what just happened. It's 7 o'clock in the morning and my kid just asked to pick up the dog poop in the yard. I'm like, awesome. I love that.
I love that. So do they receive 1 ticket per good deed?
Well, it depends on, there's so many things. So if a kid's asking me for a ticket job, if they unload the dishes, I'm like, that's probably 1 ticket. But some of my bigger boys will go and help me cut down stuff around the property.
Oh,
and that's 20 tickets, right? So
that's different. Yes.
We try to fairly compensate for the work involved. The harder the job, the more tickets you get.
That makes sense. I mean, if they're literally, mowing the lawn, all of that, that's a much bigger thing than just simply taking out the trash for five minutes.
Yes.
Yeah. That is why I love that idea. I may have to start implementing that. We do have a system at home that we call our unlock system. And in order for my son to get screen time, we have, those workbooks that are sort of supplemental work in addition to school. And so he has a supplemental workbook. So he has to do a few pages in the workbook each day to unlock his screen time. So that is,
I love that,
our system. It's the unlock.
That's brilliant.
System. So he knows, he's like, oh, I have to unlock first. And so he does his work. And those books are so nice. You can buy them on Amazon. Sometimes they even have them at the dollar store. They have them at Walmart. And it's just supplemental work. It's a little bit of math, a little bit of language arts. That's mostly what it is. A little bit of spelling, sometimes geography. But they're great. And so he does a few pages of those, and then he gets his screen time.
I love that so much because it's such a like that's such a valuable lesson, right? Like as adults, we don't just get what we want when we want it. Like that's not how life works. And I think a lot of our kids are learning that. And so if we can add something to it of like, hey, let's do this first and then you can do this, that delayed gratification, all of that is so good. So
Yeah.
I love
It's
that.
really helpful. My husband's been reading James Clear's Atomic Habits, and it's a good book. I highly recommend it. And so I think that's sort of what gave him the idea for that. So we're just trying to build these like subtle little habits that, you know, whether it's delaying gratification or just making little positive tweaks, you know, to our behavior along the way. So it's so far so good. It's working, but I love the ticket idea.
Atomic Habits has been my grounding for the year. I read that first thing this year and I'm like, I don't know why it took me so long to read it, but life-changing. I loved it so much.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I actually had a call here interview a few weeks ago, and I was chatting with someone. We were talking about that also, and they were saying that their husband is reading it. And I said, my husband was reading it. And then I said that my husband wrote a Post-it note and left it in the bathroom. And it said something along the lines of like, when you start the shower, do 20 push-ups. And I thought that was so clever because he's trying to make the most of his time while he waits for like the water to heat up.
Yeah.
So at least then he could like do these like little, you know, atomic habits, like these little microscopic habits that build up to bigger things over the course of time.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's a smart idea.
I thought so too. I think it'd be funny. I have not walked in on him doing push-ups in the bathroom yet. And, you know, because
kind of a little better.
That'd be pretty funny if that were the case. I'd be like, what's going on in here?
That would be really funny.
Yeah, it hasn't happened yet though, but we've been okay. Laura, tell everyone where we could find you. I want to hear more about your courses, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so mamasystems.net is my website. And as I mentioned, I have the ticket system course and some other courses. And then, of course, I do one-on-one coaching, which is kind of my favorite thing in the whole world because I get to build relationships with moms and really get to help them customize systems for their homes. So that's it.
And you have a lot of great principles on your website too. You have so many great principles on your website.
I do have a lot of free resources. So for sure, follow along and I will share those all the time.
Yeah, they're so good. I mean, you had so many. I was going to like print them out and then show them, and I was like, you know what? I'll direct everyone to your website so they can check it out themselves.
Yes, do check them out.
Definitely. Laura Hernandez, thank you so much for being here. And everybody go check her out at mamasystems.net and download those principles because I'll tell you, you're going to thank yourself later.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon, Laura. Bye. And everybody, we'll see you next Thursday night, 8:30 Eastern time.